The only person who didn't, he slipped a little bit. And when I mean he slipped, I'm saying, he was getting really sick around this time a little bit. He had to back off. People used to hit him for, he's not putting out the videos he's supposed to. Medicare took a hit, but he didn't slip or fall like some of these other guys did. Yeah, there was that one blood sports stream that he did. It was like 8 hours or whatever it was, and it was just a bunch of yelling and screaming, and there wasn't any order, if you will. But that's what Medicare likes. He likes the chaos. The chaos can be entertaining at times. But outside of that, and some other small nuances here or there, I'm not trying to downplay it, but outside of some other nuances, he walked away from that clean. But then again, he was never really heavily invested in it. At the end of the day, Internet Blood Sports was supposed to be his Jerry Springer. So he would just pop on just for the entertainment value, and other than that, he was watching. He personally wasn't invested in this like everybody else. We saw Big Alaska fall first. Then you end up, then I think it was Tongasaw and Kumite. Then it was, oh shit, who fell after that? Then eventually it was Worski. Then theoretically it was Ralph, because he got knocked off the platform, and then he had to jump to all those other platforms over shit that he really didn't do when it came to that charity stuff, but make of that what you will. Then it was Worski. Then Ralph, as you know, has fallen, and theoretically he's still falling, keeping up with some of the recent stuff. Just everything kind of fell apart. Like, everything kind of imploded on itself, sadly, at the end. And then you got to think Sargon ended up having his fall. The Quartering is still afloat for whatever reason. Monday Matt, we're going to get ready to go over that now with his public execution. Like, everybody took a hit. Like, just about everybody who was affiliated with Internet Blood Sports in some way, shape, or form took a hit. But the fact that Monday Matt was doing what he was doing behind the scenes is in stark contrast to the whole freedom of speech thing that he portrays. But it was nothing new. I think he'd been doing that for a really, really long time, and no one was wise to it because it was Monday Matt. No one ever thought, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think anybody thought he had the heart to do it. To be honest, I don't think he had the guts to do it until people started shaping shit up. Monday Matt was jumping into people's stream chats. People probably saw stuff and were screenshotting stuff on Discord. Some of those Twitter outbursts, I should say, that he may have had, and I think people started putting two and two together. With that being said, I'm going to put this out here right now. I'm okay with taking not okay, it's free country, you guys are ready to say what you want. I'm going to say Monday Matt ended up winning this. He ended up, theoretically, Monday Matt won this. The reason, now hear me out, and like I said, you don't have to agree with me, but the reason why is, and you'll see this as this goes on, Monday Matt basically sat up there and wasted these people's time. If he had cut his losses early, he may have been able to squirm away with his boulder still intact, or boulder and still intact. And he gave up nothing that they didn't already know. He legit gave up not a goddamn thing that they didn't already know. And there's no one really that I can blame for him getting away. The one major thing is, if Ralph was sober that night, we would have gotten everything. If Ralph was sober that night, especially the way the atmosphere was going, the way Gator was getting on him, the way Sedan was getting on him, the way Monday Matt and Keemstar were getting on him, and with the moral support of, who was that guy? I don't know, was that James Ellis up there? Quartering didn't really add shit, but I think it was James somebody who was up there too. With him kind of giving the moral support to Monday Matt, trying to nudge him into position. But if Ralph would have just was sober and could have stayed on his ass, we would have gotten everything. We would have gotten everything. Because when Ralph is sober and he's thinking, you don't want that. You really, really don't want that. That's the reason why people gave him so many chances. That's why people gave him so many opportunities. That's why, for better or worse, that's the reason why the Ralph Court still exists. To be honest with you. Especially early Ralph. Early Ralph Man, like I said, that's just my opinion, of course, but if he was sober, we would have gotten anything. Monday Matt didn't give them anything really that they didn't already know. To be honest, it's the stuff that he was able to get rid of later is the shit that we'll probably never find out about. And the fact that most of you are going to say, well, why did he even reveal his screen in the first place, and why did he even show whatever? Because they already had him dead the rights to that. They knew it, and he knew it. He gave up nothing that they didn't already know. And so, at the end of the day, Monday Matt still walked away with most of his dirty Boulder secrets. At the end of the day, he won that, if you will. He lost the war, of course, and theoretically everybody lost the war. There was no winners. Everybody basically got scorched and burned. The only person who made it out, like I said, was Medicare, but Medicare wasn't really even in it, so he didn't lose anything. But he didn't give up anything that they didn't really already know. You know what I mean? They had some smart guys on that panel. They already had him dead the rights to a couple of different things anyway, as it pertains to Dame Pesos, to the him flagging down the Kumite, him probably hitting Warski. Who knows who else he hit? I know he definitely must have hit some people from the comic book community when he went over there talking his shit over Star Wars and some other things. I know he definitely hit those guys, because those were some of the same people who made videos on him later. And I think some of them actually had proof. I don't know if Yellow Flash was knee deep in that, but I feel like I remember Yellow Flash having a video that may have been hit at one time or another by Monday Matt. It's just what it is. And the thing is, in Monday Matt, I don't know if Matt even realizes this, but he started, I think people had done this type of behavior, flagging all that bullshit, way before Matt. I don't think anybody's stupid enough to know otherwise. You know, everybody knows that this had happened way before Matt. But the way Matt was doing it and how he kind of portrayed himself was really one of his saving graces for a while. Because no one ever thought he would do it. No one thought he had the heart to do that shit. It's not like Monday Matt's buddy, fucking Review Tech USA, who's the shit. When he sat there and got on his knees and went ahead and took the knee to Keemstar and revealed his flagging history, who knows how much that shit he cleared up before he did that. Matter of fact, well, if I remember to, at the end of this, I'll tell you what my theory is as it pertains to Monday Matt and Review Tech USA later on, because that's still tied into the same time period. But either which way, this just gives you an idea of what we're about to step into. I think Monday Matt didn't give up anything to them that they didn't already know, so at the end of the day, they didn't get anything. If Ralph could have kept his head up, his head up above the bottle, I think we could have gotten a whole lot more out of this. I think we would have gotten the whole story. It could have all been wrapped up that night, at the end of the day. Now, would that strike from the kill stream been removed? I don't think so. I don't even know if it ever was. If Ralph ever was able to get it removed. I do believe, like everybody else, that Matt hit him for it. I absolutely believe so. Once that Polly the Polar Bear situation came up, which is the whole reason why this kill stream even happened, and because Medicare had found it, he came off a hiatus. He found someone on Kiwi Farms, if I remember the story correctly. We're going to get into it in a minute either way. Someone from Kiwi Farms found it, thought it was hilarious. Medicare found it, or Medicare saw that, posted it on Twitter. Ralph was like, that's hilarious. We'll go ahead and do a show about it. And then I understand what Ralph was trying to do. You know, Medicare was there for the laughs. Ralph saw it, thought it was incredibly out of character that Monday Matt would have done some early shit like this. They play the video, they have their laughs. Monday Matt comes on, they ask him some questions, they may grill him a little bit and whatnot. And what do you think about those basketball Americans? Matt, tell us how you really feel. And they have some laughs about it, and that'd have been the end of the night. But Matt couldn't see it that way. Matt looked at this like, well, I mean, don't be wrong, from an optics standpoint, it didn't look good. But Matt wasn't going to go anywhere anyway. A lot of those people, as it pertains to Gamergate, whether they got their blue check mark on YouTube or Twitter, whatever the case may be, it doesn't mean anything. A lot of those dudes are kind of tainted from the fact that of just the side they were on, the arguments they got into people with, and some of the people that they were even arguing with ended up moving to, or ended up gaining friends in high places that would try to stifle them out or whatnot for as long as they can. And we're talking about years after the fact. But that's neither here nor there. At the end of the day, Matt didn't give up anything that they didn't already know. As we go along, you're going to see the progression of all this. So that's the situation. Ladies and gentlemen, enough of that. Let's get into what you guys are here. We are here, ladies and gentlemen, with Suit Yourself, which is the name of the YouTube channel. Full Ralford Torque versus Monday Matt. Complete animated show. This was published on September 12th of 2018. The link to the original video will be down in the description without my annoying voice, so I would recommend that you please check it out. Suit Yourself is an extremely talented individual, so hopefully you guys will give him a look, or give them a look. I'm not sure if it's a shit. Pretty sure it's a either way. Check him out. And let's see, big up to Deer Tractor, and big ups to Harry Dunn's son and whatnot. Give you your shout out. You don't have to pay nothing here. Well, you're gonna have to actually fill up this Snortbucks punch card. You know what I'm saying? Lucky for you, it's buy one get one, and we get double punches on Tuesdays and Fridays. So that's the only thing it's gonna cost you. No angry snorts here. Defiant sniff though. Anyway, so big ups there and whatnot. Big ups to Harry. Big up to Deer here. Big up to all y'all. I know this has been a long time coming, and so on and so forth. There's, even with what I've given you, the story is so much larger. You guys ever take a chance to look? There's a whole thing about it on Kiwi Farms. If you guys ever feel the need to go through it, they documented all of it. It was a great time. It was an interesting time. But you guys aren't here for that now. Look, Execution on Monday Matt. It is what it is. It is what it is. I will say one more thing before we get started. Dame Pesos, the Soyless Matt Show, the creator of the Soyless Matt Show, I should say, he has said this shit a long ass time ago, like way in advance. And I kind of wondered, I always wondered to myself, if they had anybody, I'm not blaming it on one particular person or particular group, but if just a few people would have taken what he said a little bit more seriously, a little sooner, who knows where this could have actually gone. One more thing. The situation with Monday Matt ended up sowing the seeds and breeding what ended up coming up to be the Susie Lou situation later, as well as other high-profile YouTubers and Twitch streamers flagging other people and getting people taken down. Monday Matt can be contributed to that, even though he wasn't the first to go around and, as Medicare said, being a soy-filled bitch and flagging everybody down. He certainly set the precedence, which leads to a lot of shit that came later. In the same way that what's her name? Is it Ty Westbrook? You know, Miss Westbrook, you know, the one from the beauty community, when she went ahead and did her 48-minute public draw and quartering, no pun intended, draw and quartering of James Charles. Like, that video, her original video of that, is what ended up setting the precedence for everything that came later. It's the active trend. If you're going to go ahead and expose somebody, and you have receipts, and you have this, that, and the third, or if you're just someone influential enough where your words carry enough weight, that you do what Miss Westbrook did. Tati, I think it's Tati Westbrook. And why not? It worked. You know what I mean? It worked until YouTube allegedly told her to take it down. So it just gives you an idea of what this kind of behavior, what it does and what it sets up later on. Like I said, Susie Lou is the female Monday Matt. They call her that shit for a reason. Well, they call her a lot of things. But they call her the female Monday Matt for a reason. Because of all the nonsense she did in the exact same way as Monday Matt. The only difference was that she had a little bit more clout at YouTube and she was able to get things done faster. But Monday Matt says that, oh, well, a lot of the stuff that I flagged, it didn't go down. But people kind of went back and were like, that's not necessarily the case. Not to say that everything he flagged went down, but a lot of that stuff did. Or a lot of that stuff got a restriction put on it by YouTube, which limits the amount of people who can see it. Yet again, another thing that wasn't brought up on this, but we'll get to that when we get there, but I'll say it now just in case I forget. ladies and gentlemen, it's time to go ahead and break some boulders. It's time to break some boulders. Ladies and gentlemen, this is DSP News. Certainly the Snow Report. And let's go ahead and get into it.
Okay, we're here.
Are we live now?
Yes, we're. No, we're. Oh wait.
I can't.
We're live now. We're live now.
We're live now. Okay. All right. Didn't want to speak out of turn. Sorry about getting your fucking channel moved.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even really your fault. I mean, I don't know.
It's Monday Matt's fault. Like I just want to outright say that there's no way that I'm 100% certain Matt did this. 100%. I'm not no benefit of the doubt bullshit. Matt did this. I've seen this happen 6 or 7 times. I've seen it happen repeatedly to people that put up videos criticizing Matt. That near instant fucking taneously they get pulled down. There is no way that Matt didn't do this, and I suspect that he did it on all the other ones too. And I hope
that speaks to the amount of muscle that Monday Matt had at one time. To be honest, you know what I'm saying. Like I said, I still believe that Suzy Lu had a little bit more muscle and was a little bit more damaging than Monday Matt. But then that depends. It depends who was more damaging in the long run. Let's not think about the immediate. Let's think about what came later. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to give that, and you can give Monday Matt some credence, he was able to push a lot of these dudes off YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Or he was able to cripple a lot of them, or he was able to put them in a situation where they were able to be crippled by each other later. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, Monday Matt has a hand, and has his hand, or he has his pebbles in the downfall of a lot of these people. Like I said, Medicare walks away essentially unscathed, more or less. But a lot of these other dudes, for the most part, end up taking a real hit. But let's neither here nor there. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with Suji Full Ralph Retort versus Monday Matt complete animated show. This was from September 12th, 2018. Yeah, we finally here. In the building. Let's get it.
almost encourage people to go look when he got verified. He got his little check mark or whatever on YouTube. It seems to be when it really kicked into high gear. Like, you know, once he kind of established himself, like the 100,000 mark, whatever. It just seems like over the last 1.5 to 2 years, he is any video that's really critical of him gets instantly pulled down. I put up videos shitting on diaper furs. I put up videos shitting on autistic people, on crazy people. And the thing that floors me the most is one of the videos that on my channel that got flagged was a 30-second stream bump for Monday Matt, and it was considered to be not age appropriate for anybody under the age of 13. You know, that fucking warning they put up? And all it is a clip of the Boondocks with ad blocks thrown over their face. That's it. There's no way. The fucking Boondocks clips are up on YouTube by themselves, so I know that they're not in a special category. But if for whatever reason that mysteriously gets nailed, somebody was bringing up earlier, Dame Pesos or whatever, his video's always getting fucked with. His tweets always getting fucked with.
Monday Matt had a hard on for him. Maybe he still does. He had a hard on for Dame Pesos for a long time. He got his first, I think he got his first Twitter account, maybe even his second. And I'm pretty sure but anyway, however many Twitter accounts that Dame Pesos have, they can contribute all of those to Monday Matt. At the very least, the first 2, if not first 3. Then after that, Dame Pesos was pissed off a bunch of people. but yeah, a lot of those Monday Matt got hit, and then as well as Matt show. Jesus Christ! I remember Donna used to put one of those up and be up there for like a day or 2. Come back maybe a few days later, and that shit was down, and then eventually it was able to come back up again. Like, Matt was trying with his hardest to squash it. If he could have brought the mountain down on Dame, he would have. He damn near tried. Some people say he only was supposed to succeed.
And it's such fucking bullshit. You know, all the shit that he's talking about, people like, what, Dick Masterson and Alex Jones talking about, oh, you're violating TOS, man, or yeah, that shit you're saying where there's smoke and fire, you're racist, and all this kind of crap. Oh, well, what about your funny little clip videos, Matt? Are you a fucking racist? Do you hate black people? Because how do I interpret the video where you're talking about, I don't even want to say it, I don't want to get you flagged again. We'll call it Basketball America. So, Matt, when you're talking about the Basketball America, is that a joke, or are you being serious? I don't know. Maybe you're a dangerous individual. I've seen clips of you suffocating people on Twitter and YouTube. I don't know what to make of that. You're writing letters to Nicholas Cruz, apparently. I'm scared, Pat. I don't know that where there's smoke, there's fire, right?
But the insane thing is, this was a video. Okay, we played the video. Of course,
Then it gets even funnier. So you have the the polar bear video, right? Talking about you gotta be careful of the Negroes. So they like the white women, and you gotta be careful what they'll do to them, and all that nonsense. Oh, that's fucking nonsense. Thanks for that, man. His explanation for that is fucking like too, by the way. But whatever. Anyway, you have that nonsense, and then it comes out like a year later, or maybe 2 years later, that Monday Matt had an experience when he was going to some church he was going to when he was like 15 or whatever. And apparently I guess one of the members of the clergy, not clergy, but of the church itself, I'm not sure if clergy would actually consider it a proper term, but of the church itself, that like the daughter, like their daughter who was like 12 or 13 or some silly shit, wanted Matt to like impregnate her and all this silly shit, they're gonna be together or whatever. That was a wild tale in itself, and then people were saying that, well, and then Monday Night even said that she had an experience prior to that where she had her behind the church or behind some choking out of a kiss, trying to make the assumption that it was actually Matt saying that shit, he was trying to use someone else as cover. It gets weird. Like a lot of those old videos get really, really strange. And then alleged tweets of him tasting his own cum, and it just gets wild. Like Monday Matt's fucking Twitter history, or just his history online, is exceptional. It's absolutely fucking exceptional. Some of the silly shit this guy has done, or said. It's also next level shit. There's a reason why he's put into low status. And there's a reason, and his behavior isn't really much different than Wings of Redemption, Darkside Phil, Amberlynn Reed, Chantel. Like he falls into that same bullshit. They all have the same goddamn tendencies if you look at it. They all express them slightly differently, more or less. But they all have the same tendency. You say something about them, they don't like it, they can't live with it, you gotta go. And if they start getting deeply entrenched, they want to hurt you, not physically, but they want to try to hurt you as much as they can, because they have the equivalent to how they felt over some people saying bad things. Like, it's really wild. And it's weird that as the internet has progressed, we as people, and even as a society to some degree, have gotten weak. We've become weak. You know? Over what? A faceless person, or even not even a faceless person at times, who had a disagreement with you, and you guys argued over some dumb shit. They realized after 10 or 15 minutes, or after how many tweets that you can push out in that amount of time, you know, this is stupid, you're being a fucking retard, I'm done. And then you start doing fucking, then you start having blood feuds over this shit. People planning out vendettas and shit on Discord over something like this. You need to grow up. And not just them, like we all need to grow the fuck up when it starts coming down like this. At the end of the day, it's the internet. People are gonna have things to say about you. For ill or nil. Even if you didn't do anything wrong, they'll still have, I didn't do anything wrong. People are gonna have shit to say about you. You gotta roll with the punches. If not, then get off the internet. You know what I'm saying? You can turn the fucking, what is it Tyler the Creator said? Turn the goddamn screen off and walk away. Go outside. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to This shit is not. This isn't your life. It's just an extension of it, if you will. But some of them turn it into just that, and it becomes too much. Even if you're making your money online, right? Dude, you don't have to carry all this burden offline. You really don't. And once you do, and once those physical effects start to become more and more apparent, people are going to see it and people are going to pick at it. And that's what it comes down to. But like I said, let's continue. We're still early on in this.
Video was a little blue, I guess we could say. But this was a video that was up on Monday Matt's main channel until I don't know when your tweet came out. Maybe like this afternoon, late afternoon, it came out.
Well, first off, I'd like to say that you can thank Kiwi Farms for that because they found it. That's the first thing I'd like to say. Two, I probably should have waited to tweet it because the moment that I tweeted it out, instantly he took it off his fucking channel. I'm certain he has Google Alerts set up for his fucking username. That anywhere that it appears, he's instantly alerted to it. I've known people like that. But no, that was Kiwi Farms that found that. And then I saw it and I was like, this is fucking...
the headache of that? Like, who wants the headache that a video of yours has popped up somewhere, or someone has mentioned you on a forum, or however Google Alerts works? Who the fuck wants to deal with the mental gymnastics of that nonsense? Like, that's just way too much, dude. That's way too much. And Matt, by his own admission, is deep into analytics. So that's something that he's going to be looking for. You know what I mean? But it's not worth it, man. It's not worth it. It wasn't worth it then. It's certainly not worth it now.
This is great. How can I not, talk about that? But yeah, instantly pulls it down. The page is archived though, so you can't deny that the video was ever up. It totally was. It was on his channel for 6 years. 6 years, and he instantly pulls it down once people start paying attention. Probably because he talked a bunch of shit, about other people making jokes and stuff like that, and then how bad it looks for them.
By the way, Monday Matt, speaking of the devil, has tweeted, and he said, "I'm sorry, I did what now? I've been."
And this is one of the things that fucked Monday Matt over. One, there's a paper trail, right? All of this shit can be linked back to him. Everybody knows how old the video was. I mean, shit, Kiwi Farms already had it archived up on the platform, so like you weren't making that go away. It was just, and it was a 6-year-old video that had never gotten hit on your channel, but it gets hit for hate speech on Ralph's. What the fuck? It was ugly. Like, they had him red-handed from the hop, and then they have this stream here, right? Like, they do this kill stream. Ralph ends up messaging. Monday, Matt ends up messaging Ralph. I apologize. Talking about, I did what now? What happened? But Ralph said that he tried to message Monday Matt earlier in the day, talking about the situation, talking about, hey, we're going to talk about this once you come on. You're going to take some hits, right? You're going to take some hits, but we're going to have some laughs, and then everybody moves the fuck on with the day. And Matt didn't even respond. Or he barely responded, if you will, anything coherent at that time. So it's all the evidence was already piling up on it. It wasn't just the fact that Jim said this is law. No, like there was already a shitload of evidence on him. Plus, Monday Matt had a bunch of people in his Discord that weren't necessarily on his side, but I think it was a public Discord, so it is what it is. And so that was working against them because people were monitoring what was going on and what was being said in there, just as they did with Susie Lou and her dumb shit. So same concept. Even though there were some people deep covering Susie Lou's Discord for a long time. A lot of that information, if you saw any of the John Swan videos or any of the stuff that came out after that, that's how they ended up getting even more information on what she was doing with the anime reaction shit and how it was linked to Patreon, and then eventually how she tried to do her own site and all that shit blew up in her goddamn face. But same concept. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you guys run a public Discord, or even if you guys got a private Discord, you never know who's in that thing. You never know who's in there. I'm not trying to say this to draw out any paranoia or anything. I'm just saying you don't know. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, people become disgruntled. People who liked you one day will feel a certain type of way about you the next. It's human behavior. And it's especially something that you see online a lot. So keep that in mind.
Hid all evening.
Yeah, this is the story every fucking time. It's weird, right, Matt? You're never around when it gets flagged, but you show up instantly afterwards to say that you didn't do it. So if you're so fucking busy with your kid and doing shit in real life, how the fuck are you responding to this allegation in the first place? Shouldn't you be busy?
Well,
Why
look,
do you always pop up afterwards instantly to say that you didn't do it?
dude, I've given him the benefit
He's
of the
playing
doubt.
peekaboo with his kid. Well, allegedly his kid. He's playing peekaboo with his kid and whatnot behind some boulders, Jim. I think you're being a little too harsh about the situation. Let him have boulder daughter time and whatnot, and he'll, when he gets around to it, he gets around to it. Jesus Christ, we're being harsh here. We're being harsh. Okay, he's trying to be a good boulder daddy to his alleged child. I mean, look, come on, man. Just saying.
And some other stuff like, oh well, you know, people fuck around, maybe, you know, there's no direct proof or whatever, but the quickness that the stream was taken down with, and just, you know, and we've gotten DMs, the Dan's got some DMs that said he was in the actual chat, he was there.
But no, Matt, no, Ralph. Matt was hanging with his kid.
Yeah,
You're
no,
mistaken.
exactly. Actually, I've let a lot of shit go with him, and I talked about this earlier. I'm not going to go into it completely, but you know, he slandered me, he slandered my wife, and you know, he apologized, quote unquote. You know, he came on kind of groveling about it, and I was like, all right, let it go. Because I'm just that kind of dude, and for him to do this striking, it's just.
Well, am I crazy here? It feels like, I swear to God, it feels like every time a video comes up that shits on him or makes fun of him or points something out, it's pulled instantly. Your stream played that video, and within 30 seconds of the video ending, your stream instantly goes down. It's just, it's too much of a coincidence, you know. Parenthesis. It's a little too much for me to take. If it was once or twice, or 3 or 4 or 5 or 17 times, maybe it's a coincidence. But when you're sitting at like number 4,832, it's about time you say, maybe Pat's got a fucking hand in it.
He starts tweeting that, he says, quote, nothing quite like being accused of something you didn't do, and then the threats against your kids start to pour in.
I don't give a.
I didn't say, what threat against your kid? What the fuck is he talking about? Why are all these people turned into Anita? Why do I feel like I'm on the other side now? It's so fucking weird. With threats against your kid. Down the pipe.
That's what. I don't even understand where that comes into play. A threat against your kid. Obviously, I'm sure.
You're gonna be like, oh, some anonymous Twitter user that nobody knows with a random account said something. Oh, okay.
I mean, look, assuming that is even actually his kid, I mean, that might be a big assumption.
And that's the wild shit about that too. People have been surmising that for a while, and that goes back. I don't know if it goes as far back as this, but there's a old vlog video that Matt did. This is right before his child was born, and he sounded nervous. He had the kind of nervousness that you would expect from certain men, right? He had a nervousness about being a father, and it was because it was all life comes at you fast. And one of the things that stuck out with me, or that video I should say that stuck out to me, was like, well, I don't know how he would be able to actually form a connection with this child, or it was something along those lines. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, you're nervous, it's a lot, and it's coming at you very, very quickly, this is a big life change, and so on and so forth, I get it. But at the end of the day, that's yours. Like that, well, allegedly, that's yours. And even if you have some of those rumblings in your head, right, if that's some of the stuff that's going around in your noodle, most people out of general consideration for their woman, their wife, their queen, whoever, or baby mama, whatever the case may be, you don't say shit like that publicly. Like you don't usually publicly say that shit.
Jammed.
Like, I don't know if I'm gonna have to be able to form a connection with this child unless you know the child isn't yours. Just throwing that out there. So that always took me by surprise. Now I don't know if that was the catalyst to people saying, "Oh, that's why it's not Monday Matt's kid." I don't know, but at least at the time when I saw that, that was one of the early indications that he certainly either he had doubts or Matt's just that type of person. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if you have that rumbling going on in your head, that's one thing, but the moment the child is born and that child's put into your arms, that changes perspective. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you should know that yours. You know what I mean? Even if you should, even if you're not even if you're still having your rumblings about it, there's a little person in your hands. Right now. You know what I mean? So, I mean, but it is what it is at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I guess it depends on his circumstances, it depends on his situation, it depends on his mindset. He had a lot going on around that time. It is what it is. But that rumor, though, has persisted for a very, very long time. A very long time.
Of course, I have nothing. I have nothing but
hanging with his wife's son.
yeah. I have nothing but sadness for that child in the first place, if it's actually his kid, and just I hope the best. Please. Just end it.
I want it. Can you get him?
Thanks, y'all, for
bring him
bringing
on.
the mood down, sucker. Yeah, but Gator, where's the sound effects at? We need something to cheer us all up.
I want to hear his side of this. I want to hear him try to defend himself. I really do, because it's too much of a fucking coincidence.
Jim, I messaged him earlier. So once you did your tweet, it was hilarious, and we haven't seen you, in over 2 weeks. I guess 1 day, so about 15 days we haven't seen you. People were legit speculating, oh, Jim, maybe he's not coming back, maybe he's, he has some problems or whatever, like maybe he's passed away. I mean, you saw this stuff too. And so you come back and your first tweet back is
Yeah, that's
is
those
that one?
Medicare hiatuses for whatever reason. It's amazing how if like 2 weeks feels like a month. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you follow his content at the time. He'll go on a tear for a good amount of time and then just drop off the side and then later. You know what I mean? Drop YouTube, drop Twitter, drop all that shit. You just don't hear nothing. And then that's when people start speculating that the cancer might have got him, or the coup finally taken him. Not COVID, but because all that smoking does stuff like that. And then eventually he pops up, and then when he usually pops up, it's usually a slow burn for him, and then he's hitting the ground running. But at least with this particular situation, he came out the gates like, oh, you found this? Oh, this is funny. Oh, we need to get this on Twitter. Oh, hey Ralph, you should probably consider doing this. Ralph's like, oh, would you come on the show? Oh, hell yes, I want to come on the show. Get that too. And it was just a chain reaction of events, which is the reason why Medicare has the following that he does. You know what I mean? There's always some type of excitement around what he's doing in a way that you don't get from him. It's not necessarily just from the hiatus part of it, it's just when Medicare does something, he doesn't do it for the masses, if you will. He does it because he finds it to be entertaining, he wants to share it. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that Medicare has uncovered over the years and never did a video on because either A, he never got around to it, he may have wanted to do it but never got around to it, or it just didn't tickle his fancy enough to do it. You know what I'm saying? You have to be kind of passionate about what you do if you're going to put effort into it. Same concept. So, and I think you've seen that throughout Medicare's career, his standings on the internet. And that's why he didn't mind having a channel, letting it build, and when it gets to a certain point, he'll just nuke that. He's notorious for that. They call it what they call it is they just call it the Medicare, and that's just when you nuke your channel. And they just start. It takes a few months off or whatever the case may be, and after that, then it comes back under another persona and start again. He has no qualms about doing it, which is, I think, another reason why people look up to Medicare and are very attracted to his content and his personality and everything, because he holds no actual ties to any of this. He holds no loyalty. You got some people who they'll get themselves a 10, 15, 20,000, sub channel, and if shit starts to flop, they just choose to go down with the shit instead of just starting over. Just go ahead and you don't have to nuke the channel, just start a new channel. Be brand, if you will. But no one wants to do that because, oh, I'm known for this, so I want to stick to it. Then I should kick against all the I'll drop that bit. It's not even about, oh, I'm just going to leave the channel alone and that's it. If you guys want to archive it, go ahead and archive what I have, but that channel's going to go down, and it goes down. And it's gone. And he just starts over. And he has no qualms about it. And it's because he has no attachment to it at the end of the day. And if you're going to start over, and start over fresh. Don't worry about or why should you be tied down to what his past works are. You know what I'm saying? You should always want to be better, right? You should always want to do better. If you do better, you do better. So that's just his way of going about it. Most people don't have the strength of character to do it. A lot of us don't. You know what I mean? That's no knock against anybody in particular. A lot of us don't. You gotta think, excuse me, it's hard to build a YouTube channel, especially if you're really, really invested in it. If you're really, really invested in it, if you're someone like Matt, or like Tech USA or some of these guys ordering to try to jump on whatever the hot topic is, you're putting a lot of time into that, you're putting a lot of effort into it, you already have a set idea in your head on what the payoff's going to be, right? And if you don't get it, then the disappointment and all of that kind of comes into play. And it translates into the content. You see it, you hear it in a lot of ways. Whereas, if they just did what they found to be interesting instead of trying to appeal to a mass audience, it would open their eyes to what actually works and what actually doesn't. Because you can only chase so many news stories before everybody's on it. And you can only try to mimic somebody else for so long until you lose sight of who you are at the end of the day. That's the thing about Medicare that stands out, the fact that he did it his own way, he was being his own man, and the consequences happen the way it happens. And like I said, that's something that after a while, if you put a lot of time into a channel and you've done something a certain type of way that it works, you're scared to do anything else. You're scared either because it's going to fail, or you're scared that people won't watch it, or people will just lose interest in you. At the end of the day, people grow. People expand. And as time goes on, some of the people who were with you for a while, eventually they're going to step up. They've outgrown you, they've outgrown the content. They just get into different spaces in their life and shit. That has nothing to necessarily do with you per se, it just happens. We all are subscribed to some type of YouTube channel that we don't watch all the content that comes out, or you binge watch it like I do, you know? But not everybody's on it every single day. It just doesn't work that way. You know, I used to do, let me give you an example. I used to watch Chris Move stuff religiously. Now, you know what I'm saying? I set out a time of my day in the week where I'll binge watch a bunch of movies. Has Chris Move done anything wrong? No. Chris Move's content is consistent. You know what I mean? I just only have so much time in my day to go through it. Instead of watching each and every video that he puts out each and every day, I'll just throw that shit, I throw it into a playlist and shit. And then I'll binge watch it later on down the line. It's easier to do. Or if I take a week or two off, even better. That's just that much more time for me to be able to utilize it later. And that's something that you do find with people who do use, who look at YouTube content. Yes, it's entertainment, but also if you can utilize it in a way that is beneficial for you, then why not? It is, as people like to call it, video on demand. Well, it's there for you to use, or to ingest, or to digest, or whatever the case may be, at your leisure. And you find that in the day and age that we live in, people want that type of entertainment that can be multitask, right? That has multi-functions, if you will. It can be utilized in a way that is most beneficial for them, that can fit into their life. So there you go, just as an example.
That video, and so you know, it's funny. And I'm laughing about it. I quote tweeted it.
Yeah, that's a fucking thing I don't get about Matt. I'm sorry to interrupt, but like, that's the thing I don't get about Matt. Like, you know, he has these old videos and people find them and they actually chuckle. They're like, okay, I didn't know he'd do something like that. Or there's leaked audio where he's shitting on people, calling them plastic whores, and people are like, oh, okay, that's more interesting. I'm looking at his metrics, and he's getting, you know, between 1,000 to 10,000 views a video on 160,000 account. Maybe it's time to drop the I'm the nice guy middle of the road shit and just talk like a normal fucking person. And just talk like
he's too scared of what the fallout's going to be, which is what it really comes down to. That's the reason why Boogie is the way he is. Like, when Boogie is unhinged, if you will, and he's not necessarily in front of the camera, in front of the spotlight, boy, he talks out his ass. A lot of those guys do. Quartering's another one, especially once Quartering gets on that box wine. Jesus Christ. That nice guy bullshit is just that, bullshit. The thing is a lot of these guys have built themselves around the Boogie type formula. Rich from Review Tech USA is like that kind of, where they don't want to be confrontational and whatnot. They want to just go ahead and address the subject as they do, and then move on. No one wants backlash, and some of those guys skirt they skirt the razor's edge on certain topics where people will come after their neck, and they know it, and they don't want any of that fallout, and that's why they play the nice guy angle. That's the reason why I think Monday Matt chose the term mundane in front of it. It's non-threatening. It's legit non-threatening at the end of the day. You listen to it, whether you agree with it or disagree, and you may leave a comment and you move the fuck on with your day. It's not someone who you're really going to sit there and pay attention to their videos and pay attention to their terms, to their tweets or whatnot, or even deep dive back into their old videos and whatnot to see other stuff they said and be like, well, this is a sharp contradiction to what you're saying right here, and then start building the roadmap of a hypocrite. None of those guys want any of that. They don't want any of that at all. And though it may be more entertaining, it may even come across as edgy, or whatever the term is, or whatever the conditions that may be. No one wants to. You gotta live with the fallout, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants no parts of that shit, because that's not fun. That's not entertaining. You know what I'm saying? I mean, other people might be entertained, but you're not gonna be entertained by that shit. You gotta live with that. Everybody else, afterwards, they go on and they watch other content, or they move on with their day. You're the one that essentially has to deal with the mounds and mounds of shit on top of the boulders that you have to carry up and down that hill either which way. That's the reason why he did it. That's the reason why a lot of people do it. There's a reason why a lot of people do it that way. There's, for example, so as you know, the new Call of Duty is coming out. Call of Duty Cold War, Black Ops Cold War, sorry. And some dude leaked some footage accidentally, in air quotes, of it or whatnot, and everybody's like, oh, it's Black Ops 2, like, oh, this is going to be the revival of Black Ops 2, whatever. I had said something on Twitter, and that shit made it into somewhere they got legs for whatever reason, or developed legs, or whatever the case may be, and it made it into some Call of Duty discussion group or whatever. And I don't know how it got there, because I'm not part of that group. But the point being is, I said, at the end of the day, nothing will be Black Ops 2. Like, Black Ops 2 is what it is. There is no copy and pasting. There isn't any of it. Because if they could have done it, they would have done it. They can't. And that's the reason why they keep putting off the remastering of it, not the reimagining of it. Because as you know, remastering and reimagining are two different things. That's the reason why they won't give us a remastering version of it. Because one, they probably still haven't figured out how they're going to microtransaction that bitch. Because that was the first Call of Duty that actually had a DLC weapon, the Peacemaker. The camos and all that bullshit, and the reticles and all that dumb shit, that is what that is. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day. But they're trying to figure out a way to be able to monetize that shit. Like, they want to completely whore it out. They legit want to try to say, Call of Duty Black Ops 2 belongs to the streets. The problem is that they can't figure out how to monetize it in such a way to do so. You know what I'm saying? No one wants to see Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare being poured out again. That shit belongs to the streets, not Black Ops 2. And more importantly than that, Black Ops 2 is going to blow if they remaster it. You know, like update the graphics and all that bullshit. It'll blow anything else that they have out there out of the water, and that's just they're basically hurting themselves. That's the reason why it's taken so goddamn long to put it out there. And they know that. And they know that they can't remake it. They swear to God that they know they can't make it. I swear to you, they know they can't make another Black Ops 2. And you have a lot of Call of Duty heads out there, well, Call of Duty YouTubers, I will say, I'm not gonna call any names, who will, fuck it, 402 Thunder, I'm sorry, I watch his shit, I watch his content, I've been a big fan for years, but you got people like him, who is like, oh, well, I've always been a big Treyarch head, he has, that's not a lie. But he's had his criticisms too, which is one of the reasons why it is what it is. I'm fucking. It's one of the reasons it held him back. His honesty, and I appreciate that. A lot of people do. That's the reason why people fuck with him the way they do. His honesty set him back. It set him back for years. That's the reason why he never got invited out. That's the reason why he never got the opportunities that other people did, because he certainly had the viewership. He just couldn't get Activision to back him up. And the reason why is because he was honest about it. He was honest about that shit. As a consumer and as a casual player, even though he was a YouTuber too, don't get twisted, if the game wasn't fun, or if the games had problems, and they were kind of just skirting in Activision or whatever the developer at that time was just skirting that shit under the rug, he would call that shit out because it needed to be called out. It needed to be said at a time where other people were saying it, but they weren't saying it that loud, or they didn't have a lot of heart in it when they said it. Thunder would say it, and he'd be damned to the consequences. It got him in the end, depending on how you look at it, but at least that's why his core audience is the way it is, and that's the reason why they respect him the way they do. But it did set him back. And now he's been reduced to the common denominator where he has to basically hope that every Call of Duty coming out each and every year is going to be good, because if not, the channel's going to suffer. And then he ends up just playing the same Call of Duty 3 years in a row anyway, because the current ones are garbage. I'll call it for what it is. At the end of the day, it is what it is, and that goes back to something that Fisticuff said years ago, that if Call of Duty loses its focus and moves away from the casual community where they make all their money and focus on pro gaming, they're gonna fuck themselves. And the first person who's gonna get fucked is gonna be the pro players or the pro community. And guess what? They were the first ones to get fucked. And now you got pro players out there getting getting fined for saying that the game's trash, because the game is trash. That's leading to an even larger problem, which goes back to their focus. At the end of the day, with Black Ops 2, it opened up the floodgates for incorporating esports into their game. The problem is that they kind of took that esports initiative and ran with it and fucked everybody else, and then got mad that sales were garbage outside of microtransactions. Because microtransactions was the only thing that was saving Activision and all those other developers for all those years, because you had people who wanted to throw their money on fucking cosmetic bullshit that ain't worth a goddamn thing for fucking online clout that don't mean shit either. That's what it comes down to, and the game suffered. And now everybody's hoping, oh, this is going to be the second coming. This is right here is going to be the next Black Ops 2. And I'm looking at it, and that's what I said in my post. That doesn't. First off, that's not enough. That wasn't enough for me anyway, to actually come to any type of conclusion on what this is. Does it look good? Yeah, kind of. It still has like a Black Ops 3 or a Black Ops 4 feel to it, kind of. I'm not catching the Black Ops 2 vibes that people are kind of saying, at least not off this footage. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Not progression system. What's the word? The prestiging system's garbage again for another goddamn year. That's a problem. And at the end of the day, you're going to be disappointed. Everybody's going to be disappointed. At the end of the day, until we actually see actual footage, or we actually get a review, we need to stop overhyping ourselves each and every year just to get people to watch the content, or to get people to help buy it. Because the very people who say, "Oh, I'm not sure if it's going to be good or not," you should wait and think of and take all this with a grain of salt, are the very people who help hype that shit up so they can get their sales, so Activision can get their sales. So you're being counterintuitive. And one minute you're saying, be careful with your money, be careful how you spend it, because you're going to just pass off the same garbage to each and every year. But those are the same people who say, I hope the game is good, it looks good, it sounds good, I'm definitely going to play it. You're just helping the fucking circle. You're just a cog in the fucking machine at the end of the day. And so anyway, there was some people who were like, you gotta be a bit more optimistic about what's going on year in, year out. Well, you kind of screwed yourself with that statement, because you guys are optimistic each year in, year out. You guys are the same people bitching on Twitter about how the game garbage. At the end of the day, they may never give us a remaster of Black Ops. They may never do it. But don't let some little shit like this, because of the time period and the time that the world's trying to present it to you, give you hope that, oh, this will be the closest thing to Black Ops 2. That's just not what's going to happen. If we don't push for a remaster, keep pushing, we're never going to do it. At the end of the day, they're never going to be able to catch lightning in a fucking bottle. Let that go. I should have made this just a solo video, but let that go. And let's go ahead and look at it for what this is. They're never going to give us what we want at the end of the day unless we force the release. And if that means driving the goddamn sales down, then drive the goddamn sales down at the end of the day. game, I hope the game's gonna be good. It's not gonna be Black Ops 2. But I hope the game is good. But at the end of the day, sitting there praying for that shit, making a bunch of YouTube videos, hoping and developing all this false hype and whatnot, only to be disappointed in a couple months, it's on you. And you would think after all these years, all these Call of Duty YouTubers, someone was smart enough to realize that. Anyway, sorry about the title.
You obviously do when you're not making a YouTube video. Because I don't see how that's working out for you. He's complained himself about how...
That's why we actually. So, as it pertains to Monday Matt speaking to live or whatnot, he just doesn't want to. And there will be fallout. There will be people who come to this that will come after this decade. He doesn't want it. He's seen it before. He's seen it happen to me. He doesn't want that himself. Even though it's more entertaining if he did so, he'd make a whole lot more money. He's got a lot more enemies too. Or he will potentially foster, culminate a lot more enemies. It depends on you as a person. It depends on what you want. Matt comes across as someone who he'll talk that that's what he is. He'll talk that heat behind the scenes. You're talking real tough over there next to you. Now in public though, you see what that is. He'll throw those snarky comments every once in a while. It's not a very good sign. And like I said, I don't think he can break the book again. He wants to feel safe. He wants to feel safe. That's how the real Monday Night comes out. But then he probably was sensible of everybody.
Need help or something? Oh yes. So somebody been called by thief or not phone number. Who is that? All right.
It's fucking tanked, right? It went from like 2 million a month to 1 million a month, and he's worried it's gonna dip below that. But why keep up the pretense? Why play pretend? Why not make content and be yourself? And not this cookie cutter, mundane individual. Like I don't understand why he sticks to it.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about before we went live, is that he rides the fence sort of like the contrary rides the fence. The difference being, of course, still the fact that it's guaranteed 1 million views per video, and Monday Night gets like 1,000 and a half, which is lucky. Right, so I understand. Right.
He has the fan base that even if they push back, he understands. Him and his team understand how to handle it. You know what I'm saying? So there's at least some kind of even ground or equal ground that's so on and so forth. Matt doesn't have it. You have to be pretty strong. You have to be a strong person. You have to have a strong ground to make those decisions. Monday, Matt was a lot of the same way that Billy does. A lot of the same way that Harvey does. And he can't really agree on that. And so, that being said, that's the reason why they're never going to. Those guys will never get it. But, don't get me wrong, let's say, look, Frankie did. Honestly, I am pretty good, but there's a difference.
Middle of the road, and presentable if you're making a ton of money doing it. But if you're someone like Monday Night who's going to a studio every day to make 4 or 5 videos to accumulate 20,000 views, and you're getting like nothing in return for it, why even keep doing it? It's obviously not a passion project. What motivates you to do it? Why not just actually be a real person?
Well,
It
that's
feels like one, 4 or 5 videos in, but it will present this. Or if you're putting out stuff that would be considered actually being worthy, that's maybe fun. But as it pertains to his passion or whatever situation,
It's a thing about number calling about some business or something like that. So a thing about number called about some schedule or something like that. It's like weird. I don't know. It's like it's a 3. Is it 359-9872? I don't know. Probably a bill collector.